Good evening. My name is Mary Wolfram. I live at 3 Corona Court in Hillsdale. And I want to speak on the appointment of Doug Engels to TIFA. But honestly, it's really not about Doug personally. I like Doug to the degree that I know him and have worked with him in the past and watched what he's doing on County Commission. It seems reasonable. It's not about the fact that he is Adam's stepfather. What I want you to know is something that wasn't included in the packet, which is this is not an appointment to an open seat on TIFA, which is usually how appointments are done. This is a seat that is currently being occupied by me, that I've been told I'm not going to be reappointed to TIFA. And I just wanted you to know that, and I want you to make a informed decision about who you're appointing, and if you think one person is better for the city of Hillsdale than the other, then certainly you should make that appointment. I feel like I've been a loyal and productive member of TIFA, and that I'm kind of being removed without cause, if you will. If it was an employment contract, you would kind of see it that way. So I guess when it gets to that point in the agenda, I would appreciate if someone could ask the mayor why he's not appointing me. He has told me he wants to appoint generally people that are property owners in the TIFA district, but of course Doug is not a property owner in the TIFA district, and his recent appointments have not necessarily been owners in the TIFA district. For instance, Mary Margaret Spiteri was appointed recently. She is not a property owner or a business person in the TIFA district. And her husband's business, it's not a matter of her husband, that handmade is not in the TIFA district. So just wanted to point out a few things that maybe could be discussed when we get to this point on the agenda. There was a resolution, and Councilperson Stuchel's going to speak to this. We had a TIFA meeting coincidentally this morning, and I think you should know that there was a pretty strong consensus by the TIFA board, the current TIFA board, that I should be reappointed. And they had concerns about appointing a county commissioner to TIFA. That's really not what I'm here to speak about. I'm here to just speak about the normal process. I started working for the city and being on city council in 2011. I have never heard of a volunteer that was willing to serve another term not be reappointed to a board or commission. I've never heard of that happening. So, and I've asked a couple other people, it's not because I have a bad memory. It's because the norm is just to allow people to serve if they're willing to serve and they're doing a good job. And I feel like that is my position. I think what I would like to ask of you as council to note the support that I have on TIFA. Greg is on TIFA and supports my reappointment. We have 2 TIFA members here that support my reappointment, and perhaps you should table this vote because I think that there's some questions that surround it, and I think that would be the smart thing to do until you sort through some of these issues and find out why the mayor is not reappointing me. Thank you.
I wish I would have came to the TIFA meeting this morning so I could have caught some of the conversation, because I heard from the chairperson of TIFA regarding this, about the way that the meeting unfolded. And Mary took the podium here tonight, and she feels like she's being singled out. I would say that Mary was singled out when she was appointed to TIFA. She's not being singled out because I'm not reappointing her. I wanted to appoint a different downtown property owner, and the TIFA board, actually a member of the TIFA board, resigned to make room for Mary to be appointed to the board. So at that point is when I feel that there was a singling out of a person to appoint them to the board. So Mary's on the board because I brought that appointment forward and you guys approved it. So the idea that I don't like her or people don't like her, that's ludicrous. It's silly. Working with committees is important to me, and compromise is important. And like I said, that's how Mary got on the board in the first place. despite not being a downtown property owner or brick and mortar business owner in the TIFA district or in the city at large. That was a compromise on my part. And you guys don't know this because I didn't make it public at the time because I didn't have any reason to, but there were several people at that time who wanted to be appointed to TIFA. Several people that were coming to me asking to be appointed to TIFA who I turned down because they didn't own business in the downtown district. I'll tell you, one of them was Ted Jansen. Ted came to me and said, I want to serve on the TIFA board. I said, Ted, you don't own property downtown. And I want to appoint downtown property owners to that board because those are the people that have a vested interest in that board. And Ted was upset, but, you know, and then I turned around and I appointed Mary because of pressure. Which I can't stress enough that she's on the board because I brought that appointment forward. It was a compromise on my part. It was a compromise in itself of my ethics and my principles, and I did it so I could show certain people that I had respect for them and that I appreciated their input. Mary's term was up in July, and instead of appointing another business owner at that time in July, when I had several business owners at that time coming to me wanting to be appointed on TIFA, I didn't do the reappointment in July because the TIFA chair requested to me that Mary be allowed to stay on to see the completion of the Dawn since she was the major driver of the Dawn project. And so there was another compromise where I compromised and I said, okay, I won't bring forth another appointment until the Dawn is completed. They said, won't be any later than late November, early December. Here we are, January, and I'm trying to move forward with an appointment that I want, that the county asked me for personally. But this is what I'm saying, there's another compromise. And I've got no credit for any of these compromises. No, thank you, Mayor Stockford, for going against your principle, to placate people, to help push forward a project, which you were told, in fact promised, that would never see a dime of money from the city of Hillsdale. That none of our funds would ever go towards it. Which we were told we were never going to own it. That the city of Hillsdale, when it was purchased, the city of Hillsdale was not going to own it. We were going to buy it. We were going to sell it to private investors immediately. This is before your time on TIFA, Greg. And then, oh, you guys have to own it. Yep. But it's just going to be for a couple years. Yep. And then, oh, sorry, you guys have to own it, and we need some of your money, and we're going to have it for the rest of your natural life. And if it becomes another Three Meadows or another Mitchell building, then your kids can figure it out. Yep. And it stinks because I do love the Dawn, and I love the hard work of the people who have moved the project forward, and I want to see it succeed with every fiber of my being. And if I express apprehension about all this, it's not because I'm being an obstructionist, it's because I worry. That's what I do. And it's because history, I study history, and I know that we've been here before. And I also know that every single thing that we've been told about this project has turned out to be something different than what it is. Yeah. So, I will say, it was brought up at the TIFA meeting that the board would like to have a vetting process on appointments. The appointment process for boards is in our charter. And the TIFA appointment process is a state law. Now remember that TIFA is very unique. It is a very unique board, even amongst all of our boards, because it's a board of unelected people who are spending substantial amounts of our tax dollars. And when they wrote the law, they were aware that there was this glaring contradiction, and there was some pushback. And that pushback in Michigan to the TIFA law actually came from people at Hillsdale College, many of them. And so to give, I guess, the people some say over the use of those tax dollars, they made the appointment process go through boards of elected people like us, like city councils. So I don't want to remove those checks and balances from the process. I will not say that I haven't made appointments that it's not just me, they're my appointments and they're your guys' decision. I make the appointments, you guys make the decision. I'm not gonna say that there hasn't been appointments that I've made that I don't regret, because there are a couple appointments that I made that I regret making. I understand why the board would be apprehensive about the appointment of a commissioner, because I remember when I appointed Councilman Stuchel, the board did not want a council member on the board, and tried to cook up 1,000 different ways why I couldn't appoint a council member to the board. If I know I have not tried to hide the fact that Doug's my stepfather. If people are apprehensive about that, then there's Commissioner Leininger, who is also a business owner and who owns property in the TIFA district. He's got this farm bureau right back here. He's in the TIFA district. He's a commissioner. So if it's about Doug being my stepfather, then Commissioner Leininger fits the criteria for appointment to TIFA in every way, shape, and fashion.